My message is that when you get outside of yourself, as Jesus taught, right? You lose yourself to find yourself. You get outside of yourself. You start to serve someone. You find someone in need. You're going to figure out what your gifts of greatness are and why you matter for this world.
It's time to stand in your power, to get out of your own way, and to stand in your grace. It's time. Let's go. Let's get it done 2023. I have Andrew L. Anderson on the show, whose book is The Strength of the Oak, Strength of the Willow, and it's going to call you out. And that's where we get to make our stand. Andrew, welcome to the show. So glad you're here.
No, it's so great to be here. You have been so gracious to write a powerful review for my book. And if I can bless your life by sharing my message with your tribe, then I am all for it.
Yeah, the book is really powerful. You do need to read it more than once, but it's for you're stuck having in the lying flat to, I think there's actually a new expression of lying dead, right? There's a new expression coming out of China with that. We're feeling it here. There's been a real lull of like entrenched stuckness. I'm going to use that word that's been holding on since the last quarter of 2022, really holding on its grip. And today's the day you get to break that by this powerful book and Andrew's message. And that's what we're going to do today. So, Andrew, first off, let's start with people are stuck. And I'm reading it through, whether it's, changing in life, finding your way, frustration, or just simply ickiness. It's getting us really in a place that we're not allowed to be our most powerful selves that we're meant to be. So someone's standing there, whether they're in their parents' basement at 30 years old saying, oh, I can do more, or just hobbling along. What do you say to people that know it gets to get better, and here's the first step?
Yeah. So the first step is that acknowledgement that there is more. It's that call. Sometimes it's a shout. It's the acknowledgement that I was not made for this. There is something more. And having that kind of clarity is power, because we understand that our life was to be not just fulfilled, but to be magnified and glorified. So having that acknowledgement, that awareness, is superpower number one.
This book is so meant for people that have been working and had the gratitude to be able to find people to break them of their old ways and move forward. And then there's people that have not found transformation, because we're always continuing transforming. What about those people that are like, I don't even know what my greatness is, or I don't even feel greatness, or I've never felt greatness? What do you say to them?
I say to them, you need to sit down with me or someone else who can see it in you, like Chad Hymas did for me. I tell the story in the book. Chad Hymas, sitting from his wheelchair, he is literally in the National Speaker Association Hall of Fame. Wall Street Journal called him one of the 10 most powerful and influential speakers in our day. And I had the chance to sit across the table from him, and he looked me in the eyes as if he had prepared his entire talk for me personally. And he said, God wants you to live your purpose and passion. Don't know what your passion is? Go serve someone. And so my message is that when you get outside of yourself, as Jesus taught, right? You lose yourself to find yourself. You get outside of yourself. You start to serve someone. You find someone in need. You're going to figure out what your gifts of greatness are and why you matter for this world.
So the first step is getting out of your own way by looking outward and serving others.
We almost always have to go outside to go inside, whether that's nature or in service to others. Yes.
Go into that a little bit more.
Yeah. So we are not put on this planet to serve ourselves. If someone's hearing that for the first time, they're like, what? Like, I'm guessing that it's not the first time we've heard this. We were not put here on this planet to serve ourselves. We were put here on this planet to build each other up. We need each other as family members, as community, as tribes, as friends, as colleagues, as brothers and sisters. We need each other. And when we reach out to that hand that is reaching up, we are fulfilling a part of that purpose. And we all have different gifts, and we figure out how we can best serve and what those gifts are when we are in service to others.
The first step is stop hiding and surrender.
That's right.
Okay.
When we are hiding, we are serving ourselves in a selfish, pity party kind of way. We think that if we protect ourselves from the outside world, we will somehow heal. And that's the great paradox. We never heal in that manner. If you've ever seen a fire or a campfire or had one in a wood burning stove, if you bring all the wood together when you're trying to get it to light, there's no space for air and oxygen. We have to spread that out. And when we spread ourselves out and we give and serve, we let love, that oxygen in, and we can light that flame. And we can ignite that power within us that can then give light to everyone around us and warmth and everything else that we were meant to give.
Okay. Spread out and allow the light to come in, the energy, the oxygen. So
Yeah.
therefore you can then light yourself and light others.
You got it.
Now, okay, I'm loving that. So that's great. Get out of the house. Go make a difference in someone's life today. That's how it begins.
Yes. And when we start to do that, we hear that call. It becomes more clear. And I teach in the book how to define your life mission. Because once we have that definitive life mission, there is a purpose that pulls us forward. Most people are moving away from, turning around, and running from the pains of the past or the current, and they can't even see the future. And when we begin to be pulled by that purpose, that life mission, we don't have to force anything. We become in a state of flow. And that allows us to become a force of nature, no longer having to force, but being in that flow.
We're taking care of those that just like they're hearing this for the first time. Now
Yeah.
let's shift to another population, because all the population people are hurting. And I love you laid that out in the book right from the beginning. And it's real. It's something that we all get to do our energy and part to be in this. Hobbling along. Okay, I'm doing okay, and I'm doing what is more normal or is enough of enough.
Right.
How do you shift enough and also recognizing that there is actual greatness and more there than just getting by?
Well, I would have you go to the Wheel of Life in my book, and it's a very simple image. 6 different areas. We've got career, one slice of that pie or that wheel. Another slice would be relationship or significant other, if you're in one, right? A marriage or a lack thereof. So we've got career, we got relationship, we got family, we got physical fitness and nutrition, we got personal growth and development, and then we got spirituality. You look at that wheel and you just ask yourself the simple question on a scale of 1 to 10, how fulfilled am I in each of those areas? A 10 doesn't mean everything's perfect, Maureen. A 10 means that if I were to die today, I'd have no regrets. I'd say I was happy. And if you're not a 10, why not? What is missing that if it were present, you would be a 10? Or what is present and we could get rid of it, then you would be a 10. So getting real and facing where you're at in regards to where you desire to be will help you to recognize that you are enough, and you can take that enoughness and magnify it into a greater degree of fulfillment.
I love that. And the piece I would add to that is you can start with one area. You don't get to fix it all.
One
You
area.
don't have to. But
No, you just
start
pick
there.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just pick one. And often with my clients that I get to coach in a one-on-one setting, it's the area that is causing the greatest amount of pain. It's the lowest number, whether it is career or relationship or family or physical fitness, nutrition, personal growth development, or spirituality, whichever one is causing that greatest amount of pain, get that one to be knocked over, then it can knock over the next domino and the next and the next. It only takes one conversation, one book, one domino.
This is a piece that, so you were doing great, right? You're coaching, leaning into that, continually to allowing your journey to happen. And this is what I'm getting to greatness here, is that someone asked you, Andrew, when are you going to
Yes.
write a book? And it was that next that you said, okay, there's more I get to do, and there's more that I get to be, and there's more I'm being called to contribute to this world as I stand in my power. Talk about that.
Well, it was 3 years ago this last weekend. And I actually got to stand in that same place, Zion National Park, with Sharon. I think I gave her a different name in the book because I didn't have permission. And I told her, I wrote about you in the book. And Sharon said, are you speaking? Are you writing? Right? Have you authored a book yet? Are you doing the, and I said, no. And she said, why not? And she gave me, an opportunity to give all the excuses in the world as to why I wasn't. And they were really about my own comfort. And when she walked away, it was a short conversation 3 years ago in Zion National Park. She walked away. I was sitting a little bit PO'd. Like I did not like how she was pushing me. And I felt like maybe my clients feel when I'm coaching them. And I stood up and I went into the canyon and into the river. And I looked up at those incredible 100+ feet walls. And the message came as clear as any message I've ever experienced. Andrew, do you feel of the power of this creation here? Do you feel what it's doing for you to inspire? Imagine what people will feel when you are living into your greatness. And that's when the idea to write the book, Strength of the Oak, Strength of the Willow, came to me. It was divine inspiration. And I could not unlearn what I had just experienced. And then 3 years later, the book is now here.
Here we are. So that piece that landed with me, that I don't get to play small. That was what's coming up, and that's what I'm going to lean into today, is that as we're standing in this, that no, there's another level, and I'm calling you out on it, that you get to do more, that you just don't limp along. You don't get to play small.
Well, you can, and it will always eat at you. You'll try to push it away by suppressing with food, drugs, alcohol, sex, TV, social media, whatever it is. You'll try to drown it out like white noise, but you can inside. And we can never let our head talk us out of something our heart knows to be true. It will never go away until you pick up that call and answer.
And it's a continued journey too, because you're exactly where you're supposed to be. But as the calling and the downloads come, you start to be able to listen, and you know when you're being called.
That's right. And as we listen, we become attuned, and we begin to listen more, and we become a better listener, and we become confident in the ability to hear and to answer those calls. And then it becomes this compound effect. And as Stephen Covey said, now we're living our life in crescendo, right? It gets louder, it gets bigger. And then we begin to ask bigger questions and surround ourselves with those who will challenge us to an even greater extent. And it becomes like the best kind of drug that you could ever have, because it's expanding your possibilities and your ability to love and serve everyone around you.
For those that are not familiar with the be, do, have, let's turn it around of what normal, who are not in transformation, who have not experienced it up until now, that the way that they go through life, and what does be, do, have mean as opposed to do, be, have?
Sure. Well, we know that comparison is the thief of all joy, and we are surrounded by media and neighbors and family and hopefully not friends that are constantly comparing. And we say, if I could just have such and such, this body, this lover, that house, car, boat, job, you name it. If I could have what they have, then I could do what I want to do. And then I would be happy. I would be fulfilled. I would be kind, whatever it is. And that's the fallacy, right? Because what we know is that if we can be happy, as I share about in my book, when I was living in my parents' basement, people would ask, "How are you doing?" And I'd say, "I'm happy." They'd stop and they'd look at me and be like, "What?" It was a choice. It's a choice. So if we can be happy, if we can be kind, if we can be trustworthy, then we can do the things that those people do. And we can have the results that they have, but we have to be that person first.
And that leads me up to, by the way, the book is filled with the most best quotes I've ever had compiled in one place. So there was a place that you were talking about your power and what that looks like, right? And I want to own an island, right? That was in there. And
Yeah.
and then the other
Not
was,
me personally, but yeah, an example of someone that might want to own an island.
and what the other thing you said, well, what would it be to be 100% in integrity? What a different statement. And with what that looks and feels like, and what you get to do with that, right? If you're in 100% integrity with yourself, the difference between the obtainability, and it is the be, do, have, because if you're in the be of being in fully integrity, the haves come versus I want the island, even if I'm not in integrity. Sort that out of what that, how that is for people and what that looks like when you get to be in your power.
Sure. Well, whether it's being in integrity or whatever that characteristic is, what we need to learn how to do is to become very keen observers of those who we wish to model. So let's say it is someone that owns an island. They got it from one of two ways, either honestly working hard to earn the money, or maybe they got their money some deceitful way and they figured out. So we get to choose, okay, who do I want to be? And in that model, how did they show up in their life, and how can I be likewise? And then what did they do? And do I want to do what they did, or do I want to do it differently? But if I can be the kind of person they are, if I can do something either like them or similar to, then I can have those results, whether it is the island or the six-pack abs or just the peaceful life or the family or whatever that might be. Understanding what that gap is and then being able to fill it with our own uniqueness is what allows us to have those kinds of results.
And it's in the book, and it's in the book step by step. It's in the book with exercises. It's in the book. And there's no avoiding it in the book. There's no, the resistance is eventually met and overcome. That's what this book does.
Yeah, thank you. And it's one of the blessings that I have been able to receive from having great coaches in my life. You know, you have a great coach because of their care, because of their and their candor. The coach cares enough to be vulnerable and share their own failures so that you're relatable. They care enough to say what they see in you, and then they're candid enough to call you out on it in a way that you can't ignore. And as a coach and an author, I get to take that care and candor and lovingly throw it in your face so that you get to face it. That's not, you can't ignore it. And I love the way that my great coaches that have helped me write the book were able to pull out my coaching abilities and put it onto paper. I think the readers will be uniquely surprised and grateful for how that came about.
I absolutely agree. And it is one, I was watching an interview that you had, reading it twice, there's more. It is the onion that you keep getting more from, and from someone that's, I've read tremendous amount of books. That's where my resistance comes, right? Looking good, righteous, all these great things. Now the book allows you to still go further in your gift and who you get to be on this planet. What are you working on? How can people find you? And what does this look like?
Well, I have some huge goals. And in the book, I talk about making your goals known to the world, because then you have everyone holding you accountable. And so I share those openly with anyone that's willing to hold me accountable to them. So I'm so grateful that you asked. I have a goal of influencing 75,000 people this year through my book, through the podcast that I get to be on like yours, and through the coaching that I get to do. And I am offering, for the first time in 8 years of my coaching career, I am offering online workshops and coaching so that we can get this message to more people. And so if you go to andrewanderson.com, again, that's Andrew L as in Lee, my mother's maiden name, anderson.com. You can learn more. You can also follow me. I am always posting and sharing and giving on social media at Andrew L Anderson 85. And that is the place for you to connect and receive what I'm giving and to find out what I'm offering in these next coming months.
Okay, well, let's do the links will be below, right? Take care of that. And let's leave with the last piece here, is that generosity and gratitude, because you're leaning into a place of, and then we need a live ticker of 75,000 people, right? Where does generosity and gratitude fit into your life and the greatness that you continue standing in as you're meant to be here?
Generosity and gratitude. I'm going to start with gratitude. I teach it in the book. I talk about diving and going deep on gratitude. It's not, and in fact, the gratitude journal is coming out soon, and they're going to be able to access this practice on a daily basis, doing what I do. And it's find what those things are that I'm grateful for every morning in my journal. And then it's giving gratitude to the giver of those gifts. Whether you believe God or the universe created you, it's giving that gratitude back. And then sharing with at least one person that's connected. Whether you share the memory or they did something for you, it's sharing that gratitude and giving it to someone else. So that's how gratitude works into all of this for me. Every coaching client that I work with, they know the first question I ask them when we start a call is, what are you grateful for today? And when we can start our day or a call or a conversation with gratitude, we are becoming a receiver of the generosity that this universe is giving us. And when we receive it, we can then give it. And in order to be a grateful and good giver, we have to first be a good and grateful receiver, generous to ourselves, to the divine that is pouring into us so we can pour into others.
Leave it there. Andrew L. Anderson. The book is The Strength of the Oak, The Strength of the Willow. And check out the next video that was we get into the title and the significance of it. Andrew, absolutely a pleasure, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for your generosity, and the gratitude is just been magnified today in what you have given to your listeners and allowing me to participate in what we've co-created.
I received that. All right, till next time, everyone.